Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. We are back for week 3 of the NFL, kicking off Thursday. Buffalo hosts the Miami Dolphins. One team going one way towards the Super Bowl, and one team going the wrong way, the Miami Dolphins. Welcome back to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. If you have not joined us in the past, and if you've joined us before, thank you. But this is your square view of the sports betting world. Yes, we're going to focus on the NFL over the next little while, but we're not limited to that. We talk everything, sports gambling. We have our weaknesses, we have our strengths, just like you as an average sports bettor. So that's what you're buckling up and ready to hear today. And we're going to walk through week 3 of the NFL, Thursday Nighter, as I talked about at the beginning. We're also going to take a quick look back at some of the news and notes coming out of week 2 and the weekend that was in NFL action. And you can follow the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast on X at Overrated EXPER2. That is Overrated EXPER2. Here we go. So, Survivor Pool this year, I think most of us, many of you are still alive. There has not been an upset that I can really think of as a significant upset. There are some folks out there that may have joined Survivor Pools and not aware that the Miami Dolphins are not great and probably bet them or took them on week 1 against Indianapolis. And there's some other games out there I can't envision many people knocked out. So good luck to everybody out there. I took this week the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions face a huge test coming up this week against the Baltimore Ravens, but they were the prime team to take, in my opinion. That you could save some of those other teams like Baltimore and Buffalo. So that, thank gosh, I'm alive, and I'm happy about that. And then when it comes to the weekend that was of week 2 of the NFL, significant injuries that have changed the course of time for many franchises out there that had aspirations of playoffs, maybe aspirations of Super Bowl in February. Well, squish, that is gone. Cincinnati Bengals have lost Joe Burrow for at least 3 months due to a turf toe injury, grade 3, I believe, that will require surgery. And Jake Browning, the backup quarterback, will be in for the majority of the season unless something else happens. He did throw 3 interceptions in a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That tells you how well the Jaguars are and how they performed last Sunday. But the Bengals got to be crushed. Joe Burrow, once again, I know it's not his fault. However, he's quite the injury guy, right? You know, he's always... You know, he's maybe like glass, maybe bruises like a peach. I don't know, but he is done for a while, and we won't know if we will see him again in the 2025 season. Justin Fields is out with a concussion, and the Jets will go with Tyrod Taylor. And then you have the Commanders iffy if Jaden Daniels will play. Apparently had a knee injury. A lot of things going on, banged up, and could change the course. If Jaden Daniels is somehow banged up and is not mobile for the Commanders, they're in trouble and their season's gone. We'll see what happens with him. And the game of the day on Sunday was the Cowboys-Giants. All the good things that Russ Wilson, looking like old Russ against Seattle like he does every so often. He has that glimpse, the image, and the hopes that he can retain the form of yesteryear. Poof, goes up in smoke. Throws absolutely a horrible interception in overtime, giving the Cowboys the ball. All they need to do is kick a field goal. Brandon Aubrey already kicked a 64-yard field goal with ease to tie the game up earlier in the fourth quarter. And all the good that Giant offense produced and all the good that Russell Wilson had produced is gone down the shitter. So Giants are back at square one. They're 0-2, host the Chiefs this Sunday. So that was the game of the day. Some other news and notes. I'm trying to think, Chiefs are 0-2. Wow. But you see how many people are jumping off the Chiefs bandwagon and writing them off. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, folks. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, folks. Remember that the New Orleans Saints last year were 2-0. And it didn't end too well for them, did it? So very early on, the Chiefs will rebound starting this Sunday with a win over the Giants. And really disappointed in the two Monday Nighters we had here this past Monday, because they're Monday Nighters. It happened on Monday. That makes sense. Tampa Bay and Houston started out as back and forth, scoring points, for those who bet the over, like this guy, and fade it, mid-second quarter, and really didn't do much until the late fourth quarter stages. So, wow, that game looked like it was going to be amazing, and then it just fell flat. But Tampa Bay does win the game. Houston, man, CJ Stroud, he looks hesitant. He looks slow. He does not look like he is comfortable in the pocket like he did in year one. So that's got to be a red flag for Houston Texans fans. They just have nothing going on. Houston is so bland offensively, and they got to get something going here, because they're going to lose this season and be maybe a playoff team, maybe not, in a crappy division, but something's wrong there. The Raiders and Chargers can't easily win, right? Vegas doesn't put up much of a fight, and I don't know with the Raiders. Like I get the trade to bring in Geno Smith, and I'll go through my bets and how we did. But first play of the game pick, right? First play in the play. Guess who said to take that prop? This guy. Geno Smith is very predictable, and there's a handful of quarterbacks. Geno Smith being one, Danny Dimes in Indy is another, and he will show this as time goes on. They have an issue with not letting a play go and put themselves in bad positions to throw a pick. It's almost like a gambler that just has to chase, right? Just cannot call it a day. Can't say, I'll get you next time. He got me this time. I'm going to walk away and start fresh and, move about my day. That's not Geno Smith. That's not Danny Dimes. There's a few other quarterbacks like that, but just not playing quarterback like it makes sense. The Raiders bring in Geno Smith. They bring in Gentry, first round pick out of Boise State. You'd think they would hammer the ball on the ground, be a running team, and then complement a veteran quarterback like Geno Smith. It feels like Geno Smith has to get a quota of throws in, and it doesn't make sense. Like the flow of the game should dictate, what weapons you're going to use on a week-to-week basis. And with Geno Smith, I feel it doesn't matter. He's going to the air 75% of the time. Like if you watch the Sunday Nighter, the Atlanta Falcons, I'll give credit where credit's due. They looked at the situation that Bijan Robinson, just hand him the rock. He's going to get the yards, sprinkling a few throws here or there. And but we're going to win with Bijan Robinson because we have a J.J. McCarthy-led Vikings team that is not moving the ball. And I'm going to dictate my offense accordingly based on the games going. It just doesn't seem to be happening with the Raiders and Geno Smith. So, red flag there, in my opinion. And then you look at my week of success. My picks against the spread, 12-17, very successful. Kudos to me. Pat myself on the back. Parlay, player props, still, I was 500, 8 out of 16. But, just not hitting them right now. Don't have a good feel for it at the moment, but I'll give you some more that are coming up on Thursday. And that reminds me, we're going to put together another podcast to talk about the Sunday games, the picks, over-unders, and more player props. So be ready for that, and we'll go for that. Subscribe to the podcast. Also, over-unders, 11 for 16, so it's pretty successful there. Took a little more of the underside, which I don't normally take, and seemed to be successful. So Can't be biased to the overs, even though it's called the Overrated Experience for a reason, because I'm biased to the overs. So that's how it looks. Successful weekend. As we head into week 3, we look at the Miami Dolphins, who are heading to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. 2-0 Bills, 0-2 Miami Dolphins. Dolphins coming off a crushing loss. I'm going to say crushing because their offense started clicking. Tyreek Hill, 100-plus yards receiving, exactly what they need to win. But Tua just can't get the job done. Throws an absolute ugly interception late in that game, costing the Dolphins any chance to knock off the Patriots. This is a time bomb in Miami, and if they can't, they're 11.5-point underdogs here in this game, even though there was that 12.5 to begin the week, down to 11.5. I think the only thing they got going for them is their desperation. The fact that the Bills are on a short week. Looked like Josh Allen broke his nose against the Jets. And the only way I could see them covering this 11.5 is because of the short week and lack of preparation. But the Miami Dolphins are a ticking time bomb. Honestly, they're probably not going to win this game based on, one team is way better than the other. Simple. But this if they go 0-3, it's pretty much season over for the Miami Dolphins. So let's not kid ourselves. This is not like a Kansas City Chiefs situation 0-2 where, things are looking up. I got Patty Mahomes, I got faith, I got history on my side. That Miami Dolphins team does not. And guess what? They don't get better with cold. So they usually excel in September and October. And the more they don't excel, they tend to expire. So this is a huge game for the Dolphins. When I look at the spread of 11.5, it's got to mean that money's coming in on the Dolphins. I do like, this is crazy. After last Thursday getting burned with Jaden Daniels, riding Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, and nothing worked out my way. Packers dominated that game from start to finish. But I'm going to be crazy enough. I'm going to roll with it. And I'm going to say the Dolphins will cover the 11.5. Again, based on a short week. The Bills probably want to get a little, early weekend action going in their private lives. So let's assume that they're not interested in running up the score, maybe like it was against the Jets. And once they put the foot on the throat and have a comfortable lead, I got to imagine it's going to be handoff to James Cook. A lot of keep the clock running and not necessarily worry of covering that 11.5. So let's take the Dolphins at 11.5. Let's look at the Dolphins putting up some points. And you look at some key injuries from the Buffalo Bills. Matt Milano, linebacker, out. Pectoral issue. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver out. That can't help prevent, the Dolphins putting up points. I'm putting a lot of faith in Tua's not going to go get desperate and start taking off and putting his head down and trying to gain an extra yard like we've seen in the past. And then suddenly he's being carried out in a stretcher due to injury. So I'm banking on Tua staying in this ball game, putting it up enough yards to make this somewhat of a watchable game on Thursday. So I like the game to go over 49.5. 49.5 is what I think is going to happen. There's a lot of points going to be put on the board here. And I like it. I like it a lot. So add to that, we got our player props. So Tyreek Hill has been back. His prop is down to 64.5, minus 114. I got to go to him. I got to go to the well. The Tyreek Hill demands the football. Tua, only hope to be successful is to get the ball in Tyreek's hands. And I am still convinced that Tyreek Hill is not going to be in a Miami Dolphin uniform by the year's end or by the end of the trade deadline. Just can't see it happening. Don't see why Miami would want to retain him. And we need to see Tyreek Hill in a playoff chase and a contender. Also, look at Tyreek Hill longest pass reception over 22.5 yards, minus 112. He tends to load up in big chunks. You will catch and receive or just receive a long pass, but, expect him to potentially take a short pass and break it open. Tyreek Hill burns the Bills at least 1 or 2 plays in this game. From the Buffalo side, Josh Allen over 29.5 yards rushing. 2 games in a row, he's over, he's overdone it here, over 29.5 yards rushing. And why would it change here? So I think that's pretty decent play at -114. James Cook, running back for the Buffalo Bills, has 3 touchdowns in 2 games. I like his rush and receiving yard total over 86.5 yards. Game 1 of the season against Baltimore, didn't have many rush yards, put up some receiving yards along with rush yards exceeding 86.5. His rush yards alone against the Jets exceeded 86.5. He's a major player in this Buffalo offense. That's not a news flash. That's not breaking news. So look at James Cook to have a big monstrous day as well. And again, as the Bills probably lead the majority of this game, the Bills are going to want to keep the ball on the ground and probably keep it in the hands of James Cook. And for you, same game parlay aficionados, here's one. It is heavy based on the Dolphins moving the ball, which could be to my detriment, but I'm going to do it anyway. What the hell? It's called gambling. Have some balls. Dolphins, alternative line, plus 20.5. Again, I think this game is going to be closer based on being a short week and the desperation of the Miami Dolphins and the Bills looking to get a comfortable lead and then maybe squeeze the clock versus putting the ball in the end zone. Tyreek Hill, 50-plus yards receiving, and that the game, Tua will throw 200 yards plus, in the air. That $100 will turn into a $104 profit based on it being 1 plus 104. So when I give you the same game parlay, these will be plus. Not shocked. Maybe it's not a plus 1,800 that many of you take on these same game parlays, but this puts you into a better position to get a payout, at least even money. That is it, guys. That is where we stand. Again, follow the Overrated Experience every day of your life on X at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. We are also on Instagram at Overrated Experience. Follow us. Let us know you're there. And we're going to be back this week, so check us out when we look at the larger card for Sunday and Monday. And hopefully I'll be ready to tell you who my survivor pool pick will be. Would it be the Bills this Thursday? Maybe. Is that the obvious choice? Or are they going to overlook the Dolphins? So I'm a little iffy on taking the Bills here. So, pleasure was all yours. The Overrated Experience is over. And bye-bye.